Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to the Holistic Healing with Lori podcast. I'm Lori Rivers, and I am a coach for long COVID and ME/CFS, and I help people to fully recover with those illnesses and other chronic illnesses. I'm really excited about this episode because I know how difficult it is to figure out where to start your healing journey because there's so much information out there and there's so many different things that truthfully need to be addressed in order to fully recover from these things. So I'm going to make it a lot easier for you, and we're going to go through them step by step. The very first one is super simple, and you can do it starting today. And it is one of the things that makes the biggest difference in the shortest amount of time in my experience with people. It's one of the first things that I recommend to all my clients and my students. You ready for it? And it's what I call meditation. It's actually one of my students coined that term. And that term is perfect because it's twice daily, times where you get into a dark room, you lie down on your bed, and you just radically rest for 30 minutes or more. So you're actually going to schedule this into your day. And again, 30 minutes or more. And you can go to sleep if you want to, or you can listen to a guided meditation or to some music that is nice and soothing and calming. You can do yoga nidra, which I highly suggest, or you can just meditate if you want to, if that works for you, right? So when we're talking about these meditations and we're talking about radical rest, and this is where a lot of people go wrong with what they think resting is. We're talking about, I just went through the things that you want to make sure that are in place. You want to make sure also that there isn't any other noise around you. If you have kids and maybe they're playing in the other room, you might want to wear a noise canceling headset or something like that. You want to be low light, lights off. And a lot of people think that they're resting as long as they're lying down, but maybe they're looking at something on their phone or they're playing a game on their phone and they think that's relaxing to me. And the thing is that in order to tell our nervous system that we are actually resting and that it's okay for the nervous system to go into that rest and digest state, that parasympathetic state, we need to not be looking at anything on our phones, right? And not listening to a podcast either. So, like I said, the guided meditation is fine, the yoga nidra is fine, some soothing music is fine. Now, I know that for some people, when they lie down and try to rest, that brain, and that's when doing something that will occupy the brain, but in a radical rest way, something like a guided meditation, something like a yoga nidra, that's going to be helpful. If your brain doesn't, if you get a few minutes into this process and your brain still is going, it's okay. It's okay. It takes practice, right? So the fact that you're actually going through the motions and listening to a guided meditation or a yoga nidra is going to mean that your body will gradually get that message that it is okay to let go. So the meditations do a couple of different things. First of all, nervous system regulation, which is what we're talking about here, right? Secondly, they actually build up your energy stores, meaning that, and the reason that I recommend this right off the bat is because what most people find is within a couple of days or maybe even a day, that doing these twice daily meditations for 30 minutes or more actually expands their energy envelope. They have more energy throughout the day to be able to do other things that they really want to do. Now, you still keep within your pacing, of course, but you're able to do more. So I can't tell you how many times I've had somebody get back in touch with me and say, oh my gosh, I can't believe that this simple action took so little time or so little time to make a difference for me within those couple of days. So you can actually, there's a little ebook that I have that you can download. You'll find a link to that in the description. And that'll go through an explanation of all these things that we just went through for your meditations. Number 2 is an actual supplement that I'm really excited about. It's called Drainage Activator, and it's by my absolute favorite supplement company called Cellcore. Now, I don't usually recommend supplements for people unless I'm working with them, right? Because the recovery process is so individualized for each and every person. But this particular supplement is where I'm starting, I would say 90% of my students and clients now. The reason for that is because of the results that people are getting. This is the only supplement that I've found where people are noticing shift in their symptoms within the first week or two. And it's fairly well tolerated by most, because I know a lot of you out there are super sensitive. Now, there are times when, for you super sensitive people, there are times when sometimes we need to start in a slightly different place before people can start taking the drainage activator. But for the most part, it's very well tolerated. Now, the reason that it is so effective is there are lots of different reasons, but I'm going to talk about 2 different reasons. And I'll try to keep it short because it's fascinating and it's quite involved. But I will be doing another episode, a full episode on this. The extracellular matrix is what we're working on with the drainage activator, and leaky blood vessel syndrome is also what we're working on here. So let's start out with the extracellular matrix. What do we mean by the extracellular matrix? This is the area in between the cells in your body. This also includes your fascia. And so if you think about it in terms of your body, you're able to take things like milk thistle for your liver to help to detox your liver and take care of your liver and things like that. And other things for your blood vessels and for your heart and all these other things. But there's nothing that gets in there and helps to drain out the toxins and the pathogens and the other stuff that shouldn't be in that space in between the cells, in that extracellular matrix, in the fascia. And that's what this does. Now, not only that, but one of the reasons that I adore the Cellcore products is because they use something called carbon technology. Now, we are like 96% carbon, I think. It's somewhere in the 90s as far as the percentage. And what they do is they have formulated these supplements in such a way that they are not just in the GI tract, right? They're not just in the intestines. They're formulated with this carbon technology so that the supplements are actually pushed into the whole body, into the rest of the body, so that it can reach the rest of the body. When you think about things like your binders, things like activated charcoal and your other supplements, first of all, a lot of it gets destroyed with your stomach acid. Not the case with the Cellcore products. And then secondly, again, it's only it stays in the GI tract, in the intestines, as opposed to getting to the places in the body that it needs to be. So this drainage activator, that's what it actually does. It gets into the rest of the body. Now let's talk about and it pulls out those toxins and other things that shouldn't be in that extracellular matrix. And when you think about the percentage of your body is the extracellular matrix, it's huge. So this is a huge development. Not only that, but it also addresses and heals leaky blood vessel syndrome. Now, this was previously thought to be a very rare thing in people. But what we're finding is that if you have a chronic illness, then you have leaky blood vessel syndrome. And of course, I'm not a doctor. You need to check on all this yourself. This is not medical advice ever, but it's for educational and informational purposes only. But if you take a look at some of the studies and things like that, and I'll be going more into, like I said, into detail about the studies that we found and what they've found about this leaky blood vessel syndrome. So what that means with the leaky blood vessel syndrome is that the cell walls of your capillaries, your vessels, your arteries, your veins, that they are compromised. So just like leaky gut syndrome, which you might have heard of before, the same concept there. There are perforations, there are bases in the cell wall, which means that stuff that's in the blood vessels goes out into the extracellular matrix that shouldn't be there. And then what happens is the lymph system goes, oh, that stuff shouldn't be hanging out in the extracellular matrix. So we should grab onto it. So it ends up going into the lymph system, and the lymph system ends up getting overloaded. So you have an overloaded cellular matrix, you have an overloaded lymph system, and you also have things getting out of the blood vessels that should be in the blood vessels. So the cells aren't getting things that they should be getting. And when you think about the fact that one body, so your body has over 60,000 miles of of veins, right? Most of those are capillaries because they're very small and thin, but they're very long. So when you think about that, it means that your veins could wrap around the earth a couple of times. And I can't remember how many times, but you can look that up online. And so the magnitude of the issue here with the leaky blood vessel syndrome and the magnitude of the solution with the drainage activator is really exciting. And it explains how it's so helpful for people. So that's my number 2 recommendation there. My third recommendation of where to start is to find a program, preferably one that addresses nervous system reset, that addresses holistic healing, that addresses root cause, meaning it's going to address the pathogens that are in your body. It's going to address the drainage pathways. It's going to teach you an eating plan that will support you along the way with all this. And it gives you the emotional support that you need to be able to go through this process to get to a full recovery. Now, I do offer, of course, the Relief and Transformation Program, and that is for recovering from long COVID and ME/CFS. And it's a 12-week program, and we go through all these steps. So we work together, you and I, to create a personalized treatment plan because no person's journey is the same as another person's journey. So we create that personalized treatment plan for you together. And then there's also this wonderful supportive community that you're a part of, that you interact with on a regular basis. And some of the people in the program are very far along on their recovery process. So you're able to look at that and say, okay, I know that this works because this person has gone from here all the way to where they are right now. So for that, you can apply to set up a discovery call with me to see if this is the best program for you. Now, if you're not quite ready to fully invest the time and the finances that it takes to do a course like that, then I would say to take a look at the membership program that I offer. And that's more about managing long COVID and ME/CFS. But at the same time, it's getting you into a program you're going to go through your pacing. We do that in the relief and transformation course as well. Going to teach you pacing. It's going to teach you about energy envelopes. It's going to actually go into the relief and transformation eating plan as well, so that you can get started. And so that's like the step down from the relief and transformation course. And then beyond that, if you're still not sure about that, then find courses that are going to inform you, that are going to give you more education about what's happening in your body, about your nervous system. And I do have other courses I have some courses that are like $97 that you can do that are around the nervous system. Then I also offer the Safe and Sound protocol that is for nervous system regulation. So there are other options. And if you're not sure where to start with those courses that I offer, there is a link to a quiz that I have that's called Where to Start, that'll help pinpoint a course or some courses where you can start to get you started on that road to recovery. Now, there's some other great courses out there as well, ones that are not mine. Whatever it is, if it's us working together, which of course I would love, or if it's you finding another course, stick with it. Stick with it for the duration of it and really commit to doing that. I know that I can get shiny object syndrome, right? Which means, okay, this looks really exciting, not for my health anymore, but okay, this looks like it'll really work. And let me jump over there. And then people stick with that for maybe the first week or two, or maybe even the first month, but they don't see it all the way through before they jump on to the next thing. And so it's really important to keep on with whatever it is that you're working on. Now, if you're not noticing any sort of differences and you don't feel like it's taking you in the right direction, and you've given it a good month or 2 or 3 even, of course, take a look at the next thing. But you want to really fully commit to one thing and stick with it for a while. So those are my 3 steps of where to get started. And I hope that's helpful for you. Some of these steps, the first 2 steps are super easy. The third step is super easy to get started with as well. And just to recap those, the first one is to get your twice daily meditations in place. Your second one is start taking the cell core drainage activator, and let me know how you do with both of those, right? And then your third step is to either apply for a discovery call for the relief and transformation course with me, or to go ahead and sign up for another one of the courses through my website that I offer, or to find somebody else, another program that you want to go with that will give you that structure and that sense of moving forward, because that's so important, right? We want to know that we're taking the steps consistently, because those baby steps add up to eventually to a full recovery, as long as you're taking the right baby steps as well, right? Again, I hope that's helpful, and make sure to subscribe. Please make sure to share this with anybody that you think would benefit from it. Really, anybody who has any chronic symptoms or has family who has chronic symptoms, this is going to be hugely helpful. And make sure to subscribe. And I will see you in the next Holistic Healing with Laurie episode. And just know that it is possible to fully recover. Not only possible, but probable when you take the right steps. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the Holistic Healing with Laurie podcast. And I do hope that you found our conversation enlightening and helpful. That is always my goal. If you did, I have a small favor to ask. Please do consider leaving a review on your favorite podcast platform. That would really, really help us, not only to improve, but also to help others to discover the podcast. And especially if you know someone who is navigating their way through ME/CFS, through long COVID, fibromyalgia, or any chronic illness, please also share this podcast with them. My mission is to reach as many people as possible, to instill this feeling of hope and help, and to share the insights and strategies that I know really work to help them on their healing journey. And just remember that you're not alone in this. We're in this all together, learning and growing and healing. And I'll see you next time.